I'm going to do my rubbing my hands thing. Uh-oh. I wonder if I got my glasses. Terrible. Oh, I had them in my pocket. How about that? Okay, so I actually wrote a poem this morning. I don't know if it's any good, but we'll try it out. Oh, by the way, welcome to everybody in YouTube, if you're watching this. I do this poetry reading every Wednesday night at 6 on Zoom, and then I put it on the YouTube. If you happen to watch on YouTube, you know what they always say, subscribe. Let's see. I've written a lot of poems sitting out in the patio on Pete's Coffee over in San Rafael, which means nothing to you guys, but have you got Pete's out there?
No, I don't.
Maybe not, yeah.
I have heard of it though.
Alfred Pete, he came to the States from Netherlands, I think, in the 60s and started making the strong drip coffee. And it was like Americans had never heard of it. It's like we'd been drinking like instant U-Ban or something.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, he brought this like strong European coffee. It kind of took
I
off.
like I like strong dark coffee too.
Yeah, well, I can thank partly for Alfred Pete's for that.
Mm.
But, of course, now it's gone corporate. It's all over the place. It's different. Well, let's go. Let's see what happened this morning when I wrote this. Sitting on the patio outside Pete's Coffee, a mother is helping her kids on the slide in a little play area. An old couple walks by using walking sticks. I'm reading poetry put on the page by a poet long ago. Where are they now? These questions make me want to see beyond these physical eyes. But I feel a big part of me wants to pull back into ordinary life. I want to check my phone for messages. Life can be happy, it tells me. Just do what everyone else is doing. Then a certain hopelessness creeps in. I breathe and wash my face with my hands, and the other world appears briefly. I sense it's the real world. I take a sip of coffee and bite of scone. Now I'm that long dead poet, wondering the timeless questions. That might have possibilities, that poem. I had one good line in there. What was that line?
The line about being happy because you're doing what everybody else is doing, I don't agree.
Well, yeah, well, that's
I,
why it's sort of an
I think
illusion, isn't it?
I think the other way. I think if you do something that nobody else is doing, then you're happier.
Well, that's probably, but there's part of me that kind of wants to just be an ordinary yokel sometimes. But
I never did. Even when I was a teenager, everybody else was smoking cigarettes and drinking and all that stuff, and I didn't want to do any of that because everybody else was doing it. I was writing poetry.
well, that's good.
Hmm. But nobody else was writing poetry, so I was kind of weird.
Let's see, Julie. We lost Julie. Readmit her here. There you are. Looks like we lost you
Yes,
for a minute.
I had to grab a quick phone call. Welcome back. I mean, thanks for having me back.
Okay. Let's see. What do we do now? Oh, I read some of my poetry. I'm actually coming out with another book of poetry, believe it or not. You know, Glenda, I still owe you my fourth book.
Yes, you do.
I'm a little behind the times.
Your books have a special place on a shelf.
Well, that's nice. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes I give my books to people and I don't think they, I don't know where they put them. I love poetry, even though it's a little bit of a niche thing. Let's see. Yeah, let's read this one. This is the bullfrogs. I heard of some frogs the other day. I don't know where I was.
All my frogs are frozen.
Yeah, they can actually just thaw out in the spring and live again, can't they? Isn't that weird?
Yeah, I think they go into the ground. They burrow into the ground,
But it's
make
like
little nests.
their heart almost stops and then
Yeah,
they
yeah.
come back. That's really amazing. Well, these frogs I heard the other day, they weren't frozen. The bullfrogs. Even though I tried to sit quietly, the bullfrogs stopped croaking. Now I'm watching some small birds skimming across the pond. When they disturb the water, I know they've got to fly. And while the frogs forget I'm here, after a while the frogs forget I'm here, they resume their resonant plea, waiting for a reply. A lady mallard leads two ducklings by me. They circle the pond. I assume she had more at the beginning. Time is eating us all, I think. And now it's time for me to go. The sun is setting behind the trees. As I stand, the bullfrogs go quiet. I wait. Remember to feel my weight on the ground. Fill my lungs with primal air. The mother duck has circled the pond and is back in front of me. I remain quiet, and then the frogs start in again. For a moment, I understand patience and acceptance, and I wait like the bullfrogs for desire to pierce my heart. I like that one.
Hmm.
Well, here's another one from sitting outside Pete's Coffee. I could make a whole book out of them. Outside Pete's Coffee. I'm sitting outside Pete's Coffee. Next to my table is a water feature. Sheets of water pour over the edge of a perfectly level stone bowl. In the wind, the water shatters into white tails. It's a hot day. Stray drops of water refresh my face. At the next table, an old man is reading. At his feet, a dog is lying. Once in a while, he looks up at the man or a passing person. then puts his snout on the ground and sighs. At another table, a man is talking loudly in some foreign language. He's either talking on his phone or to a young girl who is looking at her phone. For some reason, I don't like him. His loud voice, the girl ignoring him. A pretty girl walks by. I find myself looking at her too long. A blackbird lands on the edge of the water fountain, looks around with its yellow eyes. Then it poops in the water and flies off. Move to the other side of the table, not wanting those water drops now. I remember one drop fell off my lip into my mouth. To die from that drop would be a meaningless death, I think. The man with the dog gets up. The dog walks stiffly by his side. Some children put their hands in the water. They're laughing. I don't say anything about the bird or the poop. Their young immune systems will protect them. I stare at my paper cup in happy resignation. I'm not worried about dying now. What happens will happen. All that matters is I'm here now.
I like the ending of that.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
All that matters is that I'm here now.
Yeah. I often tell myself that when I'm feeling down. Let's see. I think I read this the other day. I'll read it again. The white butterfly. The blackberries have snaked into the knobby fig branches, their black fruit interspersed with the yet green figs. Sitting right leg crossed over left, foot bouncing a little, I'm here reading a poetry book, lost in thought. Cat opens a sleepy eye. She has noticed the white butterfly's wings slapping the air. Wriggling her whole body, she runs after it and pounces. Oh, I said she. I have a he dog, a he cat. Oh, maybe it was my other cat. Okay. Capturing my breath, I rise on my feet, take an impression of it all, including myself. In an instant, it all comes together. Everything I see and the invisible thread running through it all. And one more. Creativity. I once asked my artist brother, why don't you have any paintings on your walls? He said, the white walls invite my imagination. I could relate. I don't read that much. A few poems a day to prime the pump. The blank canvas, the white page, sometimes terrifying, but a necessary beginning. Often I start by merely describing what's around me. Then from a place I don't control, gifts arrive. In a field, it may be a duck splashing into a lake. If I'm in a cafe, it might be a pretty girl with mismatched socks. Or they might be crazy, like a bear coming in to order coffee. Creative folk are often followers of the lunatic moon. And sometimes a more essential world meets our open gaze. And we see for a moment back before time. And we sit with holy men somewhere around a campfire somewhere in the Himalayas. I like that last line too. All right, Glenda, you did read. I remember you sent me something. Let's see, where is it? Here's one by Glenda Reed, Breath of Dusk. Is that the one you want to read? You and Mary?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Your poems are always so more elegant than mine.
No, I'm not. You can't say that.
Breath of dusk. Here is the soft laughing wind in my hair. It brushes my face with fingers discreet. Its touch lingers long midst old memories, restlessly fading with twilight's faint breath. Sad searching breeze to ruffle my mind, sifting through thought pictures I'd left behind, disturbs the dead dreams and abandoned ashes, of baffled innocence, of forgotten fire. A silver caress whispers to me, glides o'er my skin like velvety rain, drenched in the silken beads of my tears. Lost in bittersweet yearnings, I fear that I shall never trust the touch of beckoning arms, a murmur of darkness, sliding together in bewildered glory, quietly drifting away with the dawn. I close my eyes to the secrets I find, trapped in the solitude, locked in my mind. As usual, beautiful.
Thank you.
Yes, that was beautiful, Glenda.
Thank you, Julie.
Yeah. Great. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Let's see. A little time. I'll read a few more things here. This is a poem by somebody named Amon Grennan. I don't know if that's a man or a woman. It's Irish. Eamon.
That sounds like a man's name.
You think that's a man?
Iman. Yeah.
Iman. Okay. Well, actually, I was going to read the one on the other page, but I'll read this one since I mentioned it. Woman at lit window. Perhaps if she stood for an hour like that, and I could stand in the dark, just looking, I might get it right. Every fine line in place, the veins of the hand reaching up to the blind cord, etch of the neck in profile, the white and violent shell of the ear, in the whirl of light, that neatly circled strain against a black cotton sweater for a few seconds. She is staring through me where I stand, wondering what I'll do if she starts on that stage of light. Ooh, it's getting a little racy. Taking her clothes off. I guess this is a voyeur. Okay.
You always do this. You start a poem, and then you go, "Oh my goodness."
I should read these before I write. And these days, this might be a little long. Okay, we'll continue. Stage of light, taking her clothes off, but she only frowns out at nothing or herself in the glass. And I think I could, if we stood for an hour like this, get some of the real details down. But already, even as she lowers the blind, she's turning away, leaving a blank ivory square of brightness to float alone in the dark, the faint gray outline of the house around it, newly risen. The half-moon casts my shadow on the path, skinned with grainy radiance, as I make my way back to my own place among the trees, a host of fireflies in fragrant silence, in native ease, pricking the dark around me with their pulse of light. Well, he may be a voyeur, but he's quite a poet.
Yeah.
Beautiful. The one I was going to read was by Walt Whitman. He can be a little off too sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
This is by the bivouac's fitful flame. By the bivouac's fitful flame, a procession winding around me, solemn and sweet and slow. But first I note the tents of the sleeping army, the fields and the woods' dim outline, the darkness lit by spots of kindled fire, the silence like a phantom far or near, an occasional figure moving, the shrubs and trees. As I lift my eyes, they seem to be stealthily watching me. While wind and procession thoughts, oh tender and wondrous thoughts of life and death, of home and the past, and loved, and of those that are far away. A solemn and slow procession there as I sit on the ground by the bivouac's fitful flame. It must have been when he was like in the Civil War. I think he was like helped the sick, the dying. Yeah.
Didn't they have people that like recorded things, wrote things down, like to keep a record of things? Maybe he did that.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, probably just for himself too. But I think he did. I think he did actually help with the sick, the injured, kind of like a medic or something. Okay. Here's one by Ada Limon. Called Proof. A kestrel's eyes up from a high, thin branch, and my husband is surprised it can hold the hunter's weight. He's small, I say. Oh, a kestrel eyes us from a high, thin branch, and my husband is surprised it can hold the hunter's weight. He's small, I say. My husband says he's large. Obviously, it depends on what you compare him to. A hawk, a white-crowned sparrow, a ghost, an abstraction. He looms not large to me, but significant, a standout. Something cool about him that says today is the day to test his mettle in the mid-morning air, flush with dead leaves and the ongoingness of rusted mums. A surge of relief comes like a check in the mail. Look, I have already witnessed something other than my slipping face in the fogged mirror, the dog's sweet seriousness at being worshipped from nose to paw. I have proof a nearly twig-like branch can still hold a too-heavy falcon. It is not much to go on, I know. Oh, I see. The kestrel was on a really thin branch. That's what he was talking about. Yeah, I've seen squirrels like sitting on amazingly thin branches. Without any fear of heights.
It's just their nature. It's their habitat.
Yeah, it always freaks me out when they go along like a telephone wire or an electric wire, way up in the air.
I don't even like to get very high on a ladder.
Oh God, me either. I have a certain height I can go to, and I won't go any further.
Me too.
And as a carpenter, I had to do many a ladder job. Let's see, here's one by Kabir. It was kind of like an Indian Rumi. I don't know when he lived. I know the sound of the ecstatic flute, but I don't know whose flute it is. A lamp burns and has neither wick nor oil. A lily pad blossoms and is not attached to the bottom. When one flower opens, ordinarily dozens open. The moon bird's head is filled with nothing but thoughts of the moon. And when the next rain will come is all that the rain bird thinks of. Who is it? Who is it we spend our entire life loving?
That was kind of an abrupt end.
Yeah. A little change of direction there. Sometimes those are fun. Let's see. I believe this is by Cesar Vallejo, who tends to write some heaviness. Hope this isn't too heavy. Poem to be read and sung. I know there is someone looking for me day and night inside her hand and coming upon me each moment in her shoes. Doesn't she know that the night is buried with spurs behind the kitchen? I know there is someone composed of all my pieces whom I complete when my waist goes galloping on her precise little stone. Doesn't she know that money once out for her likeness never returns to her trunk? I know the day, but the sun has escaped me. I know the universal act she performed in her bed with some other woman's bravery in warm water, whose shallow recurrence is a mine. It is possible this being is so small, even her own feet walk on her that way. A cat is the border between us two, right there beside her bowl of water. I see her on the corners, her dress, once an inquiring palm tree, opens and closes. What can she do but change her style of weeping? But she does look for me. This is a real story. Wow. It's a lot of interesting images. I don't know.
Part of it sounded like childbirth.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. The warm water and something. Well, oops. Zuma said I saying I'm running out of time. Well, maybe I should just go into Mary then. Well, maybe I'll read a Denise Levertov first. Ceremonies. The ash tree drops the few dry leaves it bore in May, stands naked by mid-July. When each day's evil news drains into the next, a monotonous overflow, has the tree's dying lost the right to be mourned? No, life's indivisible, and this tree, rooted beyond my fence, has been branch and curved twig, in bare leaf or bare, the net that held the sky in my window. Trunk in deep shade its lofting crown, offers to each long day's pale glow after the sun is almost down, an answering gold, the last night held and caressed. When I read over these things, they don't seem so complicated until I read them out loud. Well, let's read some Mary. I can usually figure out what she's talking about. Can you imagine? For example, what the trees do not only in the lightning storms, or the watery dark of a summer night, or under the white nets of winter, but now and now and now, whenever we're not looking. Surely you can't imagine they just stand there looking the way they look when we're looking. Surely you can't imagine they don't dance from the root up, wishing to travel a little, not cramped so much as wanting a better view, or more sun, or just as avidly more shade. Surely you can't imagine they just stand there loving every minute of it. The birds of the emptiness, the dark rings of the years, slowly and without a sound, thickening, and nothing different unless the wind, and then only in its own mood, comes to visit. Surely you can't imagine patience and happiness like that. Okay, I think I'm going to read one more. Softest of mornings. Softest of mornings, hello. And what will you do today, I wonder, to my heart? And how much honey can the heart stand, I wonder, before it must break? This is trivial or nothing, a snail climbing a trellis of leaves and the blue trumpets of its flowers. No doubt clocks are ticking loudly all over the world. I don't hear them. The snail's pale horns extend and wave this way and that as her finger body shuffles forward, leaving behind the silvery path of her slime. Oh, softest mornings, how shall I break this? How shall I move away from the snail and the flowers? How shall I go on with my introspective and ambitious life? Yeah. Snails do have those little horns, don't they? Well, I think I'm just about running out of time here, so I'm going to sign off.
Thank you, John.
Hope you both have a lovely week.
Yeah, thank you. You guys too.
Thank you, Julie.
Take care.
Okay.
Take care.
I'll talk to you next week. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.